Greetings and salutations, horror movie fans, and my name is Gilbert Ybarra, and welcome back to the Attic Review. On today's episode of TAR, I want to talk about possibly the greatest horror movie anthology ever made with Trick or Treat. Even with the straight-to-DVD release and not much publicity about the film when it came out, Trick or Treat still managed to become horror royalty with its beautiful tales of terror all intertwined on Halloween night, and I can't wait to talk about this favorite of mine. In traditional Attic Review fashion, I'm going to break the movie down into the three acts as I saw them play out, what I loved about each act if I had any complaints, and how I felt about the movie overall. So without further ado, let's talk about the masterful storytelling in Trick or Treat. We are starting with some shock and shit here, as a lady didn't listen to the guidelines about Halloween and she blows out the candle in her jack-o'-lantern a little early, so now she's gotta die. Those are the rules. That was intense. But let's roll back time a little bit here and see what happened and what started it all to get this rule breaker slaughtered. We have a town that really loves Halloween and is full of spooky shit ready to happen. We are first introduced to a gaggle of gals who are enjoying their costumes, booze, and getting dates. Well, all except for Lauren, who's having issues with her costume and for their tradition for the night. And as we're still treated to glimpses of the gals getting their dates for the night's festivities, we meet young, trouble-seeking Billy and local principal Mr. Stephen Wilkins, who looks like your average nice guy, right? Wrong. Stephen Wilkins is a wild-ass boy who severely punishes Billy for breaking the rules of Halloween. And by the looks of it, I don't think this is Stephen's first rodeo. And by rodeo, I mean murder. He gets rid of some teens looking for a pumpkin and gets a glimpse of a weird little guy carrying a bloody potato sack. Then we see Stephen doing work in his backyard and almost gets busted by his cranky neighbor Mr. Krieg, who is fighting demons of his own, like literally, but we'll get to that later. And Wilkins has a son, and again, it looks like Wilkins is going to make his son his next victim, but even worse. He is showing and even kind of teaching his son his murderous hobby, and we end Act 1. Before we get to the rest of the madness, do me a huge favor and show the channel some love by clicking those pretty like and subscribe buttons. That would mean so much to me. Alrighty, thank you so much. Back to the mayhem. Act 1 let's start with the musical score. You can feel the Halloween in the air. And on that note, the sets and atmosphere created were unbelievable. The town alive with the spirit of Halloween is captured brilliantly and is perfect to showcase the four spooky tales. Love the shock of the opening and then moving fast as fuck boy and introducing characters and planting plot and foreshadowing seeds everywhere. Like I said, I love the storytelling, so watching this all develop is a blast. Huge Act 1 is the connectivity of all the stories. This is happening to all the characters at the same time, so it is so much fun to see them in the background of stories that aren't theirs. Hate to jump ahead, but one of my favorite ones is when Charlie's going around knocking over pumpkins. In the background, we see a character we meet later named Schrader running around up to no good. Awesome. Some of my favorite scenes include all of the opening. It hits the audience so fast, and there's a really cool Easter egg that I don't want to spoil till the end. The introduction of the girls is necessary for the stories going forward, but I still love all the foreshadowing about their true selves, hidden in the form of their conversations, costumes, and then when one of the gals states out loud that she'll huff and she'll puff and blow the door down, just so much fun. Another favorite scene is in Stephen's backyard. There is so much going on between him hiding bodies and what the hell is going on with Mr. Krieg. No complaints. I could talk more about Act 1 but I gotta keep the show moving forward, so on to Act 2. Act 2 starts with those teens from earlier still hunting for pumpkins before they go by the heavily decorated home of Rhonda, a quiet, quirky young lady who they pick up for some Halloween teenage night festivities. Real quickly though, we skip over to another woman who was also picked up for a night out in the town. However, she unfortunately went on a blind date with a masked killer who completes his task and slinks off into the night for more. We're gonna see him later. Back to those pesky teens. They are in a scary but gorgeous rock quarry to tell Rhonda all about the Halloween school bus massacre, a possibly true local town legend about 8 special needs students who were accidentally murdered in this very quarry. But things turn terrifying and awful as poor Rhonda is a victim of a very mean prank led by mean girl Macy. that little. All good though, because Rhonda gets the last laugh on those little bastards after they're served up some immediate karma from that little tale they told and blowing out the jack-o'-lanterns. Maybe it was a little harsh, but whatever. It was a scary and satisfying sequence, and we get another glimpse of that little guy following around our cast. Let's just call him Sam. And someone's been following the beautiful, dateless Lori as she's been separated from the pack, and she is searching the town for a suitor by her lonesome. And this makes her the perfect target for that wannabe Jack the Ripper we saw earlier, and he attacks her. Oh no. We cut to the bonfire party where her sister and friends are at with their dates, and Mr. Ripper Dude violently graces them with her presence, and Lori emerges hotly from the shadows. And two things are now revealed. The killer on the town trying to sneak up on Lori is actually that moonlighting, murder-loving Mr. Stephen Wilkins, that devil. And the second big reveal is that these ladies are Lycans. They shed off their stupid human suits and chow down on their dates as Sam watches with some good-ass music playing, and we end Act 2. Act 2 likes, holy moly, the sets and settings are immaculate. From the strolls around town with Lori, to the hauntingly gorgeous raw quarry, to the town flashback where you can literally breathe in that autumn weather, I'm telling you, the feel of this movie is amazing. The storytelling was top notch. The Halloween School Bus Massacre was fire. Tragic, but fire! And let's pay attention to all the interwovenness going on. The stories and characters are sneakily crossing paths now. Just like Act 1, the connections between stories is brilliant and is showcased loud in this act, and that just happens to be some of my favorite moments of Act 2. There is a transition between the bonfire and the quarry before we get confirmation that the gals are Lycans. They let out a howl, and we cut to Rhonda and she quietly shouts, "Werewolves!" And oh my god, I love that connection. Then the huge revelation that the big bad wolf was actually Red Riding Hood, and that her would-be killer was that some bitch Mr. Wilkins who was having a grand time just murdering everyone until he got knocked down the food chain by Lori and her fellow werewolves, not swearwolves. They're still ladies, mind you. Every second that dealt with the rock quarry tale and prank gone wrong, I freaking loved. The hue and smoke, the spooky tale coming true, the savageness of Karma being DoorDash with the quickness to those little punks, and Rhonda being cold as ice, walking away from everything as she says what up to Sam, you can't beat it. The Halloween School Bus Massacre was just a great subplot and story that stuck with me because of its tragic reasoning and results, but still, beautifully shot and I enjoyed visually, despite the sadness. Act 2 complaint. I actually have a complaint. I understand it's for the film and the storyline, but did the character Schrader have to be such a traitor? He went along with Macy's plans with no warning to Rhonda, but he was still actually kind to her, complimented her, and showed remorse afterwards, so it's just, I don't know, I didn't really like that jumbled character agenda that he had. Was he a jerk or did he care? And which was worse? That's my complaint. Damn this movie, because I could talk about my admiration for it much, much longer, but we still have a story to get to, and we gotta see how this all ends in Act 3. We've pretty much met everyone and seen all the stories by the beginning of Act 3, so now we go back to the cranky neighbor of Mr. Stephen Wilkins, and why Mr. Creek is so angry, and what happened earlier during Stephen's story. Mr. Creek isn't the happiest soul on the block, just like me. But his night gets worse as he thinks he's being harassed by some random trick-or-treaters. As it turns out, though, something much, much worse has come to visit him. You see, Mr. Creek has a shady past that our little friend has issues with, so he haunts the fuck out of him by chasing him around, writing shit on the walls, crawling on the walls, and all around just giving him a good tormenting. And after a good back and forth, just as Sam is about to send Creek to hell, he just stops, grabs a snack, and says bye-bye. But it's at this point we learn that Mr. Creek was the bus driver responsible for those children drowning in the Halloween School Bus Massacre. And as Mr. Creek sees the rest of our characters return from their journey, he gets one last visit from those innocent, poor souls that he betrayed on the bus. And with that, we say farewell to Creek and Act 3 of Trick or Treat. What to like about Act 3? Well, this one felt more personal since we had more one-on-one time with the character, other than those quick Wilkins cameos. This was basically Sam versus Creek and his past, and him being chased around his own spooky-ass house was a nice, tense finish to these stories. It was a nice, scary tie-up of all the loose ends from the earlier acts, excellent closure about the town legend, and the reveal that Creek was a bus driver from the past, excellent. Also, that the beginning of the movie was actually the end. And we finally see Sam in action and on absolute demon time as he terrorizes Mr. Creek everywhere. And I'm pretty sure that he gave up Mr. Creek's address to those pissed off bus kids. Some of my favorite scenes were when Mr. Creek walks into one of his rooms and it is wall to wall covered in red messy writing, trick or treat. And then when Sam is now Spider Sam, and eerily creeping up on the ex-bus driver, spooky. And then when they show Mr. Wilkinson's son in his dad's bloodstained shirt, the Lycan girl's almost running over Rhonda, and then Sam seeing his opening kill Emma, blow out the candle, and inspire him for that bloody opening. Great finale. So, how did I feel about this movie overall? I still get upset by how much I had to defend this movie when it was first released because, yeah, it's beloved now, but at the time it was infuriating trying to explain the greatness of this movie. I love anthologies, and this is the most well-crafted collection of stories I've ever seen combined. Evenly paced and entertaining, and overall scary, enthralling, captivating, and most of all, fun. For instance, the beginning of the film is great because, like I mentioned earlier about that hidden Easter egg, at the 3-minute, 27-second mark, you can see the zombie kids leaving Mr. Creek's house. And it's attention to details like this and so many other hidden efforts that makes me admire this movie so much. I could go on for hours about how insanely good this movie is because I kind of feel like I oversimplified how great it is. But let's see, if this video gets over, I don't know, like 1,000 or 10,000 views, I'll do an extended review just because, goddamn, I love this movie. But that's it for today's episode of Tar and how I feel Trick or Treat might be the best Spirit of Halloween movie out there. It is scary but fun to watch because of all the connections and hidden details. And I hope you enjoy as much as I do. It has been an absolute pleasure. Please like, comment, subscribe, tell some friends about the channel. My name is Gilbert Ybarra, and thank you so much for watching the Addict Review. Smile, Tiger.